Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, denizens of the interwebs, to the ESL 1 Cologne offline qualifier here in the ESL arena in Katowice. We did just see Gamers 2 go, or G2 should I say, get the one right, sorry Ocelot. A very strong performance over Hellraisers there in that last match. It was a stunning performance from them. We saw Smiths really start to step up, and they are in good stead. This next game is also going to be an intriguing one, as Faze clan have often suffered a lot of criticism for not converting their online results into offline ones, but the game against Dignitas was anything but sloppy. We saw Rain really lift in a big way, and the mid-aggression coming out from Faze was enough to stop Dignitas in their tracks on the T side. Their opponents, of course, FlipSid, we saw them yesterday as well up against Renegades, also playing Mirage, and they also had good mid-presence, but more so on the CT side, often shutting down Yaman in that mid-window, allowing them to spread out from there over the rest of the map. We saw Blade instigating a lot of bomb site takes as well. He was starting fights and also finishing them. So this will be a clash, truly one to be watching here now, as these two teams vie for that 2-0 scoreline to put them one step away from qualifying for the major at 3-0. Alex and the crew on the desk, take us right in.
We'll try and do just that. Currently, Splice the only exception. All of the teams that did attend Columbus were in the bottom 8. Now present in the qualifier are sitting 1-0. That's just been changed by G2. They picked up their second. And let's see if that can continue now, as we are in the winner's side of our second day here of the Cologne offline qualifiers. Pansy and Vendetta hanging out to talk about this one. And albeit quickly, I know that's going to strike you as a surprise, but we have been doing our bite-sized analyst segments as best we can. Faze FlipSid, where do you want to start with this one, Lauren?
I personally want to see that game start on Mirage. I think, considering both of their previous games were on there, both of them showed a very good performance. Historically known to be pretty proficient on there as well. I think that'd be a really enjoyable match. Whether or not each other respects it enough to take that away from each other would be curious as well. I think actually the pick and ban phase for me is actually really interesting to see how they kind of boil down to these maps. Yeah,
and the veto will be coming up shortly. Quickly touching on some individuals though, Halvor. Let's talk a little bit as to what we were saying before regarding FlipSid. Now, they made this transition. You know, everyone was suggesting Waylander was this very, very scary presence to fear. I mean, we saw him way back in the Katowice qualifiers. We haven't, I don't feel like, personally, we haven't seen the Waylander that everyone fears.
But I don't think we've necessarily have had to in a lot of the games we've had from FlipSid, and that's simply because World Edit has been playing out of his mind as of late, and he's been kind of the standout player to the point where, well, before you had Bondic obviously being that kind of steady, consistent performer for FlipSid, and then depending on what World Edit did, that would kind of tell you where FlipSid were ending up in that game, whether or not it's going to be competitive or whether they would be able to sneak off a win from, I guess, what you would presume a better team they're up against. I think it's going to be this kind of similar deal, even with Waylander coming into the team. So it's going to be, you know, up to him whether or not. Now he's going to have to be that consistent fragger, while World Edit still decides whether or not FlipSid will have the firepower to actually take over everything.
Yeah, and I think Blade fit into that really well, especially in that Renegades game. You saw the complete shutdown on Mirage towards A for Blade. He just locked it out. And they had World Edit in mid, just doing exactly the same thing, especially on that CT side. So yeah, it's a really nice combination between the two that I think could be pretty respected these days. Again, though, even on the other side, Faze had Keo having a big game, and Rain as well coming back to the forefront, which he shied away a little for a while, turned down in performance for a little bit, but it's nice seeing him back and up at the front of the fragging board.
So you suggested Mirage. Let's keep our eyes on this veto. It looks like Faze are taking their time with their second. Dust 2 was taken immediately by FlipSid. I'm sure that doesn't surprise anyone.
Nope.
No.
But moving away from the first ban and then just seeing just where this adventure does take us.
Overpass.
Okay.
That's a respect ban as well, which is good to see. You know, this is.
It's a very convenient ban for FaZe because they don't really play Overpass all that much, and it's one of the better maps and one of the stronger maps for FlipSid. They've taken teams like Na'Vi down on it, so works pretty nicely. FaZe, they could have probably played a game of chicken with a nuke ban. I don't think FlipSid played either, and well, FlipSid banning out Cash, not really a big surprise either. It was a very strong map for FaZe, and Mirage being taken out by FlipSid, that's actually just straight up respecting FaZe at this point, because we talked about it. Statistically, it's the best map of well, FlipSid. So they're removing their biggest strengths on paper.
Yeah,
how many cobbles is that now? 1, 2, 3,
5,
4. This is number 5.
They used to blame the randomizer, but people are actually picking it these days. This is great.
Yeah. No Dragon Laws for you. It's happening, yeah. Okay, so Cobble again for the 5th time already in these offline qualifiers.
And this was actually a question I asked just before we went on. Would Cobble be an option in your mind? Because I know FlipSid, even though they're quite one-dimensional on it sometimes, I know you can probably go on about in this more than me, but I didn't think FaZe would really go for this as much. But
yeah, no, I was somewhat surprised as well. But I guess them throwing in the, you know, FlipSide actually removing Mirage from the map pool leaves them with 2 choices, which is either Train or Cbble. And up to that point, you have Faze actually playing more of Cbble as of late than they have Train. Even though the results aren't as good, they still probably feel more comfortable on it. But this is a kind of home turf for FlipSide. It's by far their most played map, and everybody knows how they play. And I kind of guess that's where Faze goes as well. They said it before the game versus Dignitas. We know what Dignitas are doing, and we can handle that. It's fine. And they can do the same thing versus FlipSide because Blade plays a very specific way of Counter-Strike, especially on Cbble.
And it wasn't just an empty comment as well. Like, everyone knows Dig like to do that. Let's say the nade round on Mirage, the mid takes, how they play it, all these things are very characteristic to them. And they didn't just go, well, we're aware of it. They actually played around it. They played complete retakes on A rather than trying to fight them. They left CT pretty much super passive, playing all the way back and saying, well, you're going to triple nade it anyway, pretty much, or double nade it and smoke off jungle and stairs. So if you're going to do it, at least we're aware. So I'm very excited to see how FaZe now approach this one.
And this is where we'll just kind of end our conversation surrounding FaZe, is that Keo in the interview said that we are just playing our own game, and that often does mean that they're playing a loose play style. Does it seem to be working for FaZe in this kind of basically, well, we'll react, we have to be reactive, trust Robban when we have something to fall back on, and it does seem like Keo's taken a bit of a leadership role as well.
Yeah, him
it
and
doesn't,
Easy,
doesn't make
actually,
sense to me.
Yeah, to me it was very weird when he mentioned the fact that the guys who are kind of controlling the show in game is Easy and Keo. I suppose because last time around we saw FaZe being very active at tournaments. It was Rain who had to be the in-game leader, which in turn, dipped his individual. Exactly. Very surprising, and I'm still curious to see how it's going to work out with if it ever comes to the point where Robban has to take over the reins. But as for right now, I think actually FaZe can go into this matchup feeling fairly confident as to what they want to do, because if the aim is to take duels, they know exactly what FlipSide are up to.
Well, that was again the point that Keo made, that we had to be confident in taking those, those fights and actually just winning them out because they know they can do it. So
let's run with that point, Halvor. You just suggested that FaZe hadn't been tested yet. This was so far a bit of a breeze for them. They got their first win. What happens when things don't go right? Surely that's the big question for this game.
Well, exactly. That's going to be the real question mark here. And I'm kind of hoping that FlipSide really brings it to FaZe, simply because we get to see what the FaZe in Distress actually do. So I'm kind of hoping we see the best side of FlipSide coming in on Cbble here right now. But they do have to change up some of their standard plays. Otherwise, players like FaZe will be actually able to go confidently into duels because they know how they set up. Like, for instance, Blade is going to use every single nade to actually take control over the mid area towards A and so on. So they can abuse that.
So have you been a filthy turncoat? Have you gone from beating up FaZe in your first segment to now believing they're going to win this one? What's your prediction?
Oh, well, and I think FaZe is a stronger team, just pound for pound. But FlipSide definitely have a shot at it, but I'm still going to go with FaZe.
He's found himself a fence to sit on. Lauren, what are you doing?
Assuming they're true to their word, that they are prepared on this one, which you'd assume they would be, it's got to be FaZe.
Okay, so actually, despite FlipSide always getting to the major in some way or another, we think they might have a trip or a stumble here on the desk. Let's get into it, though. Cobblestone for the 5th time here in Katowice for the offline qualifier to the major. One of these teams is going to be just one win away after Cobblestone, so let's jump into it with your casters.
All right, thank you very much, Machine, and welcome to our next match here at the ESL 1 qualifiers. It's going to be FlipSide Tactics versus FaZe Clan, and indeed, it is going to be here on Cobblestone. Metas, what are some of your initial thoughts heading into this match?
I think this could be set up, and I said this so many times today, and it's just been completely wrong, because Counter-Strike, but I think on paper this could be an absolutely sick map of Counter-Strike. I mean, FaZe looked good yesterday, FlipSide against Renegades had pretty much the run of the mill, so it's been one of those kind of situations where coming into this, I would definitely favour FaZe, but I could see FlipSide causing an upset for sure.
Absolutely, and the thing to keep in mind here too is we always see FlipSide bringing a really good performance to the table whenever we get to these major qualifiers, because that's what they always fight for. Seem to flatline a little bit when they actually get to the major themselves, but they always seem to bring their A game here to the major qualifiers themselves. It's been quite a lot of things that they actually haven't managed to make it through.
Yeah, so it's just a case now of which FaZe is going to show up. Is it going to be the same FaZe that we saw have moments of brilliance yesterday, or is it going to be back to the FaZe of old over these last few months that they have a couple good games and they have 2 or 3 weeks where they really do nothing? That's the question for me, because FlipSide will let it. He is very, very solid on Cobblestone with the AWP. He's a guy that can take over this map. He's done it time and time again. FaZe need to be up to the task here, otherwise they're going to get upset. Yeah,
and I mean, we saw some really good stuff from FaZe yesterday. It looked extremely solid, kind of just abusing Dignitas in certain situations there, really made a mockery of them back on Barrage. So with that said, coming into this match, they're going to be looking very good, and certainly for me at least, I think they're going to be my favorite of this one to take it.
FaZe. Yeah, I completely agree. I think FlipSide could feasibly make it competitive. I think they could win on their day, absolutely, which is why I'm really actually excited to watch this game. But I don't think anyone would really disagree with FaZe being the favourites going into this.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, guys, it looks like we should be jumping into the match here now at any moment. So we'll be getting into things now. And FlipSide will be taking on the CT side, with FaZe jumping on the T side.
Here we go into the pistol round as the rosters of the two teams in question. Rain was having a pretty phenomenal performance yesterday. Kiyoshima's been filling in very well for FaZe as well, but are either of those players going to step up to the plate today and deliver? That's the question. FlipSide will have a few things to say about that, and right off the bat, it's a fast B play through drop zone. Waylander with the pistol is just wrecking house. He doesn't actually get the first kill. That's going to be Markelov that takes it from underneath him. There's a team kill now from Waylander. What is even happening now? Kiyoshima and Fox, the last two terrorist members, are on the site. They haven't got the bomb planted just yet.
Kiyoshima and Fox both so low right now as they work their way back in. Fox being brought even lower now, just down to 8 HP, but Kiyo given enough for him to, at the very least, be able to go for the plan. Immediately, though, Waylander pushing his way back in, just going to shut down the final two players, and with that, FlipSide are going to be able to establish themselves well and take control here on the pistol round.
It is a bomb plant, though, and so therefore FaZe have a decision. We have seen a lot of teams go for the force in the next round, regardless of the fact that they got the bomb planted, but there is the option to save up for the AKs in round 3 if they choose. Well, let's see if FaZe go for the aggression or if they play passive in the longer game, and it seems to be the longer game, as P250s have been picked up across the board. Fox obviously not going to go for one to get that up a little bit sooner. Well, actually is, just at the end, but it's only $300 investment, it's not a huge amount.
Yeah, so we're just going to see the light buy here coming out from FaZe as they save up for that third round. Not even really a smoke, though, and that's become like sort of a pretty common tactic now, where one or two of these players will pick up a smoke just to cause some chaos on the site, and they'll essentially just rush it in hopes of being able to find a second plant to give them a bit of a boost here. But you can see World at it actually spotting the rush over here towards Long A way in advance. And with that now, he's already done some massive damage, and there's another great nade that goes in, takes down one of them, basically kills the other three, and they're going to be able to make a mincemeat of the remaining members of FaZe there. So nicely done by FlipSide. I don't really think they take a single point of damage there.
The first nade that landed on Long, I think it did about 100 damage in total between 4 players. I mean, that was on the money in terms of damage, but this is the moment I was speaking of. Playing more passive, playing the longer game affords you AKs, there's flashes and 2 smokes, so a lot to play for here for FaZe, whereas on the other side of the coin, on FlipSide, 2 UMPs and a FAMAS, but they do have a healthy dosage of nades with the defuse kits.
So now, as they get into this one, of course, I'm seeing them still focusing a lot on the outside area. Fox, Kiyoshima, Jacob along with AZ all sitting out there. It's mainly Rain trying to distract into the B-bomb site, but in the meantime, FlipSide, they have absolutely expected this to be a B hit from the get-go of things, and it's going to be up to Rain to make sure they stay in this site. There's a very large presence here, especially watching out to drop, and it actually looks like they're going to counter boost too. Waylander going up on top. We'll see if we'll be able to catch Rain as he maybe will be retreating here in a few moments to regroup with his teammates.
Have expended quite a few of their grenades though, FaZe. So 2 flashes and a smoke. Nice headshot from Rain. We'll be breaking the deadlock in this round at least. Now World's going to try and scamper his way over to A, but with so much time, this is the problem with Cobblestone. You almost have to just put all your chips on one side of the map and hope for the best. And they've gone for A, and unbeknownst to them, FaZe are going to be aggressing onto B, so it's going to be all down to Markelov. Can he wind back the years and pull off a sick play? First kill goes his way, but traded out instantly afterwards, and the bomb will be planted, and FlipSide likely will just save their remaining weapons.
So gonna have to back out of this one, and that's gonna be the good first gun round coming in from FaZe. Getting it in early too, so immediately starting to ring them back in now. After FlipSide did steal away that pistol in the second round as well here. Fox holding on to himself, even hunting down some of the remaining members of FlipSide. He's gonna be able to drop World at it, and Blade, well, he's nowhere near where most of this action is happening, so I think he'll be in much safer hands at the edge of a Long A.
Yeah, definitely should save this 6.2k worth of equipment value. M4 is going to go some way into the next round. As you can see, Waylander 5 for 1, starting things off very well indeed for FlipSide. He's going to have to be a recurring theme. Meanwhile, FaZe, 3 players yet to get themselves on the scoreboard in terms of kills. It's going to be a bit of a worry if it continues, but still early days, so no rush.
And so with that now, for the guys on FlipSide, the one save still is going to allow them to have enough now to go for another investment this time. They're definitely not going to bow down immediately after FaZe pick up their own first round, coming right back into the buy. No op to be seen, unfortunately, on World Edit, and a couple other players having to downgrade in a few key areas there, most notably Markelov going back down to a FAMAS. But beyond this, Face Clan still looking good as well, and no op for them either, just as of yet. So not going to be a huge loss not working with World Edit, but he was a very, very key factor when we saw FlipSid using that yesterday. That op absolutely provided miracles for this team, so they're going to want to try to get that back into his hands as quick as possible.
Yeah, World Edit is one of their star players. There's absolutely no doubt about it, and he is going to need to be present today. Almost omnipresent against Faze, you have to feel. 3 players B, one of which was Markolov. He's going to be darting back through connector onto the A side of the map. Faze haven't really shown their hand as of yet. Bomb in danger with support just behind it. So Faze just trying to feel out FlipSid for now, Blue, and see if they can find a couple of cracks to exploit.
Markolov and World Edit actually playing together here in this position could prove to be quite potent, actually, as you're normally only going to expect one guy to be here. Unfortunately, Markolov is caught off guard, but there's the surprise. It's World Edit. At the same time, though, he can only be able to pick up 1 frag. Blade responds from further up on the site, but Jacob has his response to that one as well. He's able to take Blade right back down, and Keo stops any more extra aggression from coming into the site. Just down to Shara now, and he's completely boxed out of the Ape site.
Yeah, good luck to you, Shara. Really no hope of getting this clutch, you've got to feel, unless he can get the kill in the next few moments. But that smoke pretty much puts the red light in the face of Shara. He will just back away, tuck his tail between his legs. And that will be Faze getting their second round. Jacob with 3 in that round. Very well played by him. And Faze looking to bounce back after the early aggression from FlipSid.
So Faze Clan still keeping themselves quite strong here as well, but with FlipSid losing that player there, it is probably going to run them dry as far as their monetary assets are concerned. Still just building up the losing bonus from the bar minimum of it, and most players not even really having over $200 for Waylander and Char, just having $50 left over. So they'll still be able to keep that save, but I imagine that that M4 on Char is probably going to be really the only significant thing that they carry into the next round.
Had the decision to go for an AWP, but Faze a smart play in here. Just get Mac 10. You know that FlipSid are going to have very little coming into this round. If you have an AWP, it does potentially give FlipSid a gateway back into this round. So let's stick with the Mac 10. They have 6+ K on Kiyoshima, so he can drop for one of his teammates if needs be. Meanwhile, Shara have the M4, but 2 Zeus's in play for FlipSid. So some cheeky antics maybe going to be coming up. We'll let it up on the boost on long. He's doing what he can. Standard stuff apart from that, though, for FlipSid.
Now for Faze Clan, though, starting to press their way out, but little do they know is there's a lot of aggression coming in for FlipSid. Not really going to work out so well. Markolov did manage to pick up a kill, but that's going to be about it after he takes down Rain. Traded out pretty quickly, and that was the rifle getting knocked out of the picture, I do believe, as well. So with more of these guys working their way back up to the A-bomb site now, taking control. They actually aren't accounting for long A so much, but still able to handle that very nicely, knocking these guys down, and this round is basically all over with Faze Clan getting easy control of the A site.
Yeah, the 2 Zeus's are left actually in the hands of FlipSid. Neither of them have got any luck from that. Seeing the drop zone. Waylander was about to say he could find some action, but play on the opposite side of the wall will be Kiyoshima, who's lurking on B long. So Faze pretty much putting the early aggression of FlipSid to bed, to rest. The FlipSid will have a bye coming through into this next round. It's not going to be fantastic, and there's the Zeus skill from World Edit. Jacob gets pummeled. He also gets his hands on the AK, so this would bolster their buy in the next round, FlipSid, if they can hold on to this from World Edit. He's going to get charged down. Nice frag onto Fox. He's going to get aggressed from behind, though, any second now. And there it is. AZ will take him out. Waylander coming in, just nabs the AK from under his nose. The cheekiness on this guy, and he will keep the AK.
So that away too, it's amazing the member of Faze Clan doesn't try to go out and actually take him down. I don't even know if he realized that he picked up the gun, but firing off the shots there at the end, definitely going to make sure he knows that, well, he did pick that up and he's stolen it away. So FlipSid go right back into another buy round here. 4 M4s in the picture along with that scavenged AK back in their hands, trying to fight back now, but Faze Clan still looking just as strong here now. Ever since they've started to stack up rounds, they've been undefeated since then, and now Fox picking up the op as well. That's just another factor they're going to have to deal with, and they still don't have World Edit to try and counter that out yet.
That's actually a really good point. The World Edit hasn't managed to get his hands on an AWP just yet, and that is a big, big key to their victory. Rain eats so much grenade damage. He's down to 27 right off the bat, and he's going to be struggling in this position. If he just bides his time and waits, maybe he'll get the drop on a player, but the early damage certainly going against Faze.
Rain just hiding out in that smoke right now, Trying to see if he can get anything behind it, but it doesn't appear to be the case, as he needs to hide his head a little bit here to be able to recover a little bit later on in the round when he's needed to actually cause a distraction. This is the second time that we've seen FlipSid going for such a heavy stack on the B bomb site, and despite the setup now working its way over towards the A site, they've yet to really start rotations. They're going to now. Markelov starts to move his way over, and more following suit too, but with Rain still present here, he could actually wreak some havoc and open up a very early flank if he can get this initial kill on Shara.
Well, he hasn't moved an inch since the grenade damage. I was curious if he may maybe back away, but he's realizing, okay, my health at long range, I'm likely going to come out second best. Maybe play the close angle and hope that FlipSid get a bit too itchy and try and push up B long and then punish them. The other option, of course, is that if FaZe want to go on B, then he's already in position to go out first and absorb the punishment for the rest of his team to answer back. And that seems to be what's happening here. FaZe starting to funnel their way over onto the B platform. Shara is the man laid in wait with the M4. Opens up, the first kill goes his way, but Blade is there as well. Shara with a second kill. He's looking for a third one. Spins back around, runs out of bullets, runs out of health. 12 seconds to go, and FaZe will be getting this bomb plant. The retake will be coming in straight away from FlipSid.
2 still left up and going for FaZe now, but that's a lot of damage now going onto Kiyoshima. Not only this, but Jacob's been knocked out, and that's actually going to be a very quick retake for the members of FlipSid. Blade and Waylander picking up those final 2 kills, wasting no time at all getting back into that site. Going to be plenty of time left on the clock for them to be able to defuse that. And now they're going to strike back, tying things up at 3 rounds to either side.
3 apiece. So we had 3 rounds in a row, all bomb detonations from FaZe, so they're going to have a very comfortable rebuy, including an AWP if they so choose. Actually, Fox decides to stick with the AK. Could have dropped for him. Meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, of course, will have his hands on the AWP. 6-2, Waylander top fragging, Blaze just behind him on FlipSid. And FaZe have all been pulling their weight, so here we go, Blue. We thought this would be a neck-and-neck game. So far, it's delivered on that promise.
So now for FaZe Clan pushing themselves out to the B bomb site, but again, FlipSid, they've got the big stack, and it's been prevalent here for quite a while, and now FaZe Clan are just going to bite directly into the big stack for the members of FlipSid coming over to the B bomb site. Shara, Markelov, Waylander, rolled at it all here, ready to go, whirled at it down with the op in hand as well, sitting by the statue, ready for the push to come into the site. Shara, though, is going to find the first mark, taking down Rain, and the rest are going to try to boil out below the broken wall, but they're making no progress at all here. Markelov taking down Jacob, even moving up to find a second of his own. Keo and AZ trying to bounce this back for their team, but they've yet to actually get beyond the platform area, which is that big contention point. There's another pickup for AZ, though, taking down Shara. And for the time being, it seems like things are going to calm down a bit since they brought it into a 2-on-2.
Look where that bomb is, though, and both players very low, but that molly is exceptional. It forces World out into the open, and in doing so, he gets taken down. Waylander will answer back, and from this position, you'd probably fancy Waylander to be in the driver's seat, but he seems to think this is an A play. Did he not see the bomb dropped? Was that not called?
Easy, that regardless is taking his time with this one, but Waylander maybe trying to line up a very large flank ahead of time here. But as he lurks his way out, he's still being very cautious about this to make sure he doesn't actually run into his opponent from the other side, AZ. Thankfully, though, this is actually working out to be a flank with how slowly AZ is just playing this right now. He's not willing to really rush this plan at all, and this is giving so much time for Waylander to try and line this back up. So as he pushes his way out, AZ's going to go for the plant. In all honesty, if he waits a little bit longer, the timing may work out so that Waylander can peek him from Broken Wall at the same exact time that AZ goes for the plant. AZ trying to lurk this, and he's wasting so much time. It's still incredible, and there we go! Waylander just walks right out and takes down AZ.
Originally, I thought Waylander had spotted the bomb, but I'm pretty sure that was a calculated call.
Yeah.
Because from the terrorist point of view, there's so many areas you have to watch out for, and a potential cheeky push up through the concrete slab, like where the tree is. And Waylander's like, I'm banking on the fact he's not going to commit to the bomb plan. I'll get all the way around, and even if he does get the bomb, the chances are he's not going to expect me to be on B platform anyway. So a really smart play from Waylander.
It ends up being perfectly timed as well. Like I said, literally as soon as we finally see AZ feeling secure enough to go for the plant, Waylander just walks out after going all the way around the world to be able to take him down there. So a bit of an unfortunate turn of events for AZ, but he did have reason to believe, of course, that that site was not going to be safe to begin with, as that was an extremely unorthodox play. Now, though, they go very quickly into this next round where they forced up with Tech-9s, buying up the armor behind this one. Waylander, though, a bit close and personal that one, and it's going to cost him. Jacob knocks him out. Rain finding a second pickup. Markelov did respond with one of his own to be able to eliminate Jacob himself, but now they've got to try and hold the site control, and Shar is in a very tough spot behind the chicken coop.
This is a very difficult position, especially if some nades start to rain down, but there's one got smoke and 2 flashes. Kiyoshima's in, AZ spots some prey. Shara's down to 2 health now. He desperately needs to stay alive. They're going to be tapping through. Chicken Coop is so close to landing on him. Meanwhile, the flashbangs landing on his teammate at Blade. There's a lot of time to play with as well, and Kiyoshima finally picks off Shara. That leaves the rock that all remains for Blade to hide behind, and they're going to try and double peek him. And there's AZ with the drive-by headshot. Beautiful play from Faze in a round where they were completely behind in terms of weaponry, and now they leapfrog over FlipSid in terms of economy.
Blade seemed a bit unsure what they'll do themselves there at the end. Tries to go out into the open. Thankfully, actually survives that encounter, but then makes the same mistake again, but this time swings wide out onto the site to try and hold a little bit more control. It's not going to work out, and FlipSid go right back down to rock bottom as far as their economy is concerned. Just P250s, a random Zeus appearing there on World Edit once again. They were able to take down one player with that previously when they bought it up, just by sort of hiding in a corner there, but in general, that's about all you're really going to expect to be able to find here.
They got cheeky one time. Are they going to be able to do it a second time with World Edit, who is holding it, asking for a stop? I assume that's a technical issue. It's going to come to fruition instantly. We'll let you know as soon as we find out. Okay, it's a crash.
Oh, it's a crash.
From Markelov. So hopefully it'll be back in very shortly. But this game, neck and neck between FlipSid and Faze. Very little to distinguish between the two of them. We haven't really seen any crazy sick plays. It's just been solid Counter-Strike from both teams.
Yeah, the only thing that was crazy was Waylander's flank. That just a bit more of luck than anything there with how perfectly timed that ends up being, but more of a mistake for Mazy there as well, taking all that time. Like I said, though, plenty of reason to believe to be very cautious about that actual site, considering he hadn't been fed anything at all from Waylander. So definitely a very hard situation to try and play off of.
I'd probably give Waylander the benefit of the doubt and say a really ballsy calculated risk. But it could have easily, bounced back in his face and been a complete horror story for him. Just waiting for the fifth player, Ashara, on the side of FlipSid to get himself back on the server so we can resume the action and the mayhem. But we are into the winner matchups now. So the winner of this game is very close to qualifying for the major. And as you mentioned before, FlipSid have a pretty crazy past when it comes to majors.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, not really ever really struggling to get to the major itself. It's just once they're there, that's where all the problems start to pop up. It's like, I think I was talking a lot about this yesterday. It's like there's no problems getting the sticker money, but once you're actually there, that's where a lot of the problems start to appear for themselves.
So, hello, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Not too bad. Pretty hot here in Poland, by the way.
It is actually. I was expecting it to be like frigidly cold here, and I show up and it's like it's very mild. It's like actually in some cases it's warmer than Los Angeles, which is a big surprise.
Yeah, but I mean the teams don't seem to be struggling too much. They've been performing. We've had some crazy matches actually. Today there's a game that I'd rather forget, which is the Renegades one, which I was casting. It was.
We were both casting.
It was a game of Counter-Strike. That's the thing. I wanted to forget it so much I didn't even remember who I was casting it with. I think Splice.
It just turned to a huge load of mistakes by every single person in that game by the end of it.
16-14. You're thinking, it's probably quite a good. No,
yeah.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
A Tyloo game was good though. That was a
Tyloo game was good. I think you casted that with
Pansy. Yeah. That was that got incredibly powerful for Tyloo by the end of it. I mean, the second to last round, we had that knife coming in against Henny. That was just they're done. There's no way they were coming back from that. The shank of doom. And Tyloo put Immortals into a 0-2 deficit. So we were discussing before about how Immortals, any team they're playing against for survival, is in bad shape, right? Like they are one of the, I think coming into this, they're one of the favorites to qualify for the major. They're definitely up there in the top 4, I'd say. Here's the thing though, is that the problem with Immortals is that we already saw, like this, they were, at least for me, they were sort of an expected team to qualify through for Columbus last time when they were still playing under Tempo Storm as well, and they kind of bowed out against opponents that I wouldn't normally expect them to go down to in that matchup there, and they got knocked out one of the first teams, if I remember correctly, in their group to get knocked out back at the qualifiers for Columbus. So I'm a bit worried that there's almost like, we have these curses with some of the other teams, like Astralis with the semifinal curse, and Navi's being unable to win the finals and whatnot because they've been in so many second place situations. I almost feel like it's becoming sort of a thing with the Immortals now that once they get to a major qualifiers, they're just under that big amount of pressure all of a sudden, and it just overwhelms them. Not only this too, but there has been recent developments with the team, and it seems like the loss of Peacemaker is actually affecting this team pretty badly as they've kind of come out of shape ever since then.
Well, take nothing away from the two teams that beat Immortals, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, G2 and Tyloo. Obviously,
yes.
G2 on the first day. They both played exceptionally well.
I think it was Envy first.
Oh, Envy, pardon me. Yeah, Envy. Both on cash as well, should be mentioned. So they have been struggling a little bit. Apparently, had to restart the PC, so we've had a couple of issues with the flip side. Hopefully, they'll be back very shortly. But for the time being, we're still going to be on the waiting screen, unfortunately.
Yep.
So, okay, let's do some predictions then. Who do you feel... I'll give top four teams to qualify, do you think?
Top 4...
I'd say 8, but it could last forever.
What'd you say?
I could say like all 8 teams you think will qualify, but that could take a while.
I think Envious is going to go through without too much trouble. I would say G2 makes it as well. without too much issue on their own regard there. I'm trying to think of the other teams that we have in the top pools right now. I'd say Faze as well, but we are being hailed to go for a technical break, guys. So we'll be coming back in just a little bit. Be sure to stick around, and as soon as we have the game fixed, we'll be coming right back, and that may be pretty short. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are live once again with FlipSid Tactics versus FaZe Clan here at the ESL 1 Cologne 2016 qualifiers. We're now in the winners portion of day 2. The seed pools now, these are all teams that won their first matches on day number 1, and it's 4-4 currently between these two teams.
Yeah, but as you can see, the economic situation for FlipSid far from ideal, far from healthy, so they are going to be running with the double Zeuses again. The idea maybe is to catch a player up long, because Waylander's holding the close angle. We have the other Zeus in the hands of World Edit just behind him, so it's almost a double bluff here from FlipSid. But of course, this is completely wrecked if FaZe don't go long. If they go anywhere apart from long, this whole strat is boned.
It may end up working, though. They're kind of falling right into it right now. The Zeus is going to miss, though, and the second Zeus as well. Neither of them connect. A huge disaster, and Faze just mops everything up. We saw Markolov finding 1 kill, but that doesn't even matter now because it's a 4-on-2, and no actual extra guns have been picked up with the loss of Keo.
2 Zeuses, 2 misses. What is this? Why? Why do you build my hopes up and then let me down so
unfortunate. So now for FlipSid, it's just cleanup duty. Markolov, though, is actually still doing some damage, and he's picked up 2 of those kills. Fox and AZ both going down. He's got an op in hand, tries to go for the quick peek to knock one of them out, but finally runs out of juice. And Jacob's going to be able to knock him out of the play and give FaZe the round. But still, everything considering leading up to that point, that was still impressive that he gets 2 more kills and does some fairly decent economical damage to FaZe Clan.
Problem is, though, they can instantly replenish that lost money because FlipSid have to go for another eco. They're going to be back-to-back eco, double eco and in. So this is FaZe's chance to say, fair enough, you took a couple weapons away from us, well, let's just plow you down again. Mac 10 for AZ seems to have read the situation properly. And again, they go for these Zeuses. They are not being deterred from these mistakes.
There we go.
Waylander plucks AZ out of midair, destroys him, and just add it, they've got the Mac 10 as well. Not the greatest weapon, it has been dropped. Kiyashima comes in and wrecks down Blade. Double kill in quick succession for FaZe, leaving World Edit and his trusty Zeus by his side.
This would be the 3rd one, if it actually connects.
It will.
They're very Zeus happy on this team so far from FlipSid. This has been working out all right so far, with the exception of the last drop, but might as well keep going for them. Unfortunately, though, for the round itself, very low chance of FlipSid actually being able to piece this back together. So FaZe are finally going to be able to establish a little bit more of a lead here, 4-6, but I believe should lead us into the next gun round as well for FlipSid.
Yeah, it will. It's double eco into the next round, and the reason why they've gone for that as well, so they can get themselves an AWP in the hands of World Edit, because it's so important that he can start to tee off on FaZe Clan's members. You can see actually the top fraggers are Waylander and Markolov with 9, not by much in fairness. A lot of the players are around the same ballpark figure. But Faze taking a 2-round lead on the T side. Nothing too terrifying for CTs. It's not unheard of for the terrorists to finish the half with 9 or 10 rounds even. It certainly happens depending on the squad. FlipSid have a strong T half as well, so they'll be biding their time. They're not going to be pushing the self-destruct button just yet.
We're getting into the next round now. You can see that investment coming in.
They did.
Yep. As we see the op now getting back into the hands of World, but not really going to be able to bring too much else, not upgrading his own pistol or no utility beyond that, but easily that's made up by the rest of the players going for their own full buys here, so just missing the utility shouldn't be too detrimental. It looks like they were going to go for the 4-stack again towards the B site, but they actually do decide to keep World around inside of the A doorway there just to watch out for things. In the event it does end up being a long or just a split A play again, which is looking quite likely from the current formation of FaZe Clan. It's Rain just trying to make some noise close to B once more.
One of the issues I can already foresee for FlipSid though is they're being very predictable on their CT side. They're effectively just doing the same thing every round. So FaZe have had no real issues with that thus far. We haven't seen any aggressive pushes from FlipSid. Maybe this is something they're going to keep up their sleeve for later on in this half, but they're running out of rounds anywhere on their CT side. I mean, there'll be 4 or 5 rounds left of this half. And can they finish strong?
It's still very quiet on the battlefield for now, but it is looking like FaZe are getting ready to go for the execute out towards long A. Might be quite troublesome though with that smoke setup rolling in from FlipSid. They're doing a good job of keeping this at bay, but there is still plenty of time left on the clock for FaZe to try and make something work here. But so far, without any map control being gained, that's where it's going to get tough. And again, another smoke rolls back out. They're trying to throw some nades and whatnot. Maybe throw them some false hope that World it may not be this close up. And now he's going to be peeking, looking for the first shot, but Fox actually finds it. Nicely done. Shuts down the Opper from the CT side. And all of a sudden, all this pressure is going to go on the Blade until he can get some assistance from Markelov.
Thing is though, that time is a bit sparse for FaZe, so they're still going to have to get onto the site, and this is where a couple of big kills from the likes of Markelov at the back here underneath the balcony, or Blade holding the close angle could pretty much seal this up. Double frag for Blade, but there is Rain and Kirishima to deliver frags of their own. Kirishima with a second, and now it's on Shara. First kill down for him, very nearly a second, and it was on the bomb carrier of Jacobs. That would have made things interesting and spicy, but as it stands, FaZe will dodge any comeuppance and take a 7-4 lead, and FlipSid are back into an eco territory once again.
It seemed like it was a bit like a haphazard sort of play from FaZe, though. They had a lot of trouble sort of getting themselves together and getting out onto that A bomb site to start themselves off, and it's a very risky process too with them running the timer down that low. Finally, though, they did manage to formulate themselves, find a good way into the site, and then eventually execute it there. And once again, FlipSid, their economical troubles continue here. Already actually taking down a member there. I believe an HE connected, and then the Molly just comes out on top of that. They're having no trouble whatsoever getting through this round for FlipSid, which was mainly just upgraded pistols to begin with, so no problems whatsoever.
Bomb has been planted.
FlipSid.
I don't know if you heard that, but
You what, mate?
I just opened a can of Mountain Dew really close to my microphone.
This guy. This guy. Blade, Mac 10. Deciding with the 5.7 though, makes a lot more sense. This kind of range with the 5.7, armor pen, pretty potent to deal with. World Edit, meanwhile, no surprises what he has. He actually jumps down. And Fox gets the kill with the AWP. That was a pretty crazy reaction shot, actually. It was point blank range. So fair play. But that's going to be FaZe. Now double the score of FlipSid will be 8-4 in the lead.
And the lady's actually going to go moving out hunting here, but just gets denied entirely. As soon as he rounds that corner, Rain's going to take him down. Eliminating Blade will make for another good case here on FaZe's end of things to continue trudging forward as we come into the closing rounds of the first half.
So we said that World Edit was a must for FlipSid to win this game, but he's 5-10. He just hasn't really shown. The power play has been a dud. Maybe he can step things up on the T side. Nobody really shining for FlipSid, but at the same time, no one's necessarily been playing terribly. It's just a case of FaZe overall, as a cohesive unit, have been punishing the mistakes a lot more efficiently. Here comes the play though, and again, Rain eats a little bit of damage as the grenades come in. Shara's holding the close angle, the smoke down, enough to choke on, so he can't do anything as of yet. Flashes onto World Edit behind the statue. And he's been completely cordoned off. He can't see a single thing. These grenades are on point right now from FaZe, but finally World Edit chimes in for a kill. He's about to get sprayed down potentially, misses his second chance. It's going to cost him his life, and this round should be slipping away from FlipSid.
Waylander just left alone now and not a whole lot he can do. So Kiyoshima just going to knock him down. Now 9 rounds on the board for FaZe Clan as they continue to dominate here. And again, one of the big issues, the reason that we really couldn't see World Edit impact all that much is just because of the fact that their economy's been in such a crap spot for this entire half so far. They've never really been given that many opportunities to purchase one. And even when they have, they've just been expending so much money here, never really being able to recover all that much after they picked up a few rounds at the beginning. So it's just been an abysmal spot here. And actually looking at things now, we have the buys coming in. Thankfully, that buy on Char is not going to be too bad, but still, with the rest of these players just working with upgraded pistols, it's not going to leave a whole lot left for the final round.
Oh, that's a sexy pop flash.
Actually, was quite nice. He threw that over the back of his head, and he gets a kill with it too. Nicely done.
Style points for you, World Edit. Haven't had the greatest game, but I'll let you off a little bit there. Tossing the AK away, making sure that those pesky CTs get their hands on it if they do decide to push up long. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I think we've only seen 2 or 3 AWPs at max for World Edit, so he hasn't been able to run rampant so far on the CT side. But that, of course, is the curse of CT side on Cobblestone. This happens so often. It's hard to keep a grasp of the map. Markelov using the platform box, a minute to play with, and they have a Molotov, so if Kiyoshima tosses it down onto platform, he will have to vacate the area, Markelov. They are looking to push this right now. Jacob lands the headshot onto Shara, but they're not going to expect 2 plays here, but he misses his opportunity, and he will get punished in the worst possible way. Down and out. 3 on 3 though, Blue. This is still doable for FlipSid.
Absolutely, and for the members of FlipSid, though, the big issue is going to be they're trying to line up this flank, but they're very, very quickly losing all of their assets here on the B bomb site. In fact, they're all gone now. Blade and Waylander both going down. World Edit trying to lurk his way back in, but I doubt he can pull off the big play he found previously. And they're going to be expecting something coming from that direction, with them already exploring all the other avenues here. The smoke comes out, tries to peek for it, but can't connect onto anything. With that, range is going to take him down. FaZe Clan now in double digits.
Well, it was neck and neck until 4-4, and then suddenly a spree of rounds came in. As you can see, highlighted 7 rounds in a row to FaZe Clan. Very nicely done. 16 for 8 is Rain, player that we highlighted to watch out for. Pretty consistent beast.
For these guys, though, on the second round, very, very light investments. Just upgrading the pistols, P250s, rather than not picking up anything at all. Wants to focus on getting that op in hand. And Waylander will bring in Tech 9 to the party, but that's about it for the guys on the T side right now.
Mag 7's a reel from Faze. They're using the close range to the utmost devastation. Being said, so far FlipSid haven't walked into any traps. Blades ate a lot of damage. And it could be Waylander falling down first, manages to just back away slowly. But the early confrontation going the way of Faze, and considering there's only a flashbang in the hands of FlipSid, it's not looking too good for them here in round 17.
So FlipSid now pushing a lot of their players over here towards long A, over towards the A bomb site. That'll leave Fox as the point man to try and stop a lot of this from going into the site, but Jacob hitting a little bit further back just outside of the A main doorway as well, looking for some markups himself, but FlipSid still taking plenty of time to formulate themselves. This is going to have to be perfect on the way into the site, and it starts off well, but immediately trades start to come in for Fox. He drops the bomb along with all the offensive pressure coming out from long, but he's going to be blind as a bat there, and Markelov and Shara are able to pick up 2 kills. AZ, though, wrapping back into the site, SMG in hand, picking up his first mark, finds a second one against Markelov, looking for a third now as well, but Shara responds to take down AZ, so it's just Keo left, but he's able to close out against Shara, giving FaZe Clan the round, but a very heavy amount of damage against them, losing essentially all their buys except for that M4 that was recovered.
I've got to say, that's a solid effort from FlipSid. 4 weapons away, and they may be caught in 2 minds if they want to go for a force, because this is a potential chance to straight up break the economy of FaZe. So they don't want to play very aggressive, or do they just want to play the longer game? And it appears they are going to be playing the longer game. Instead, they want to be saving up, because they had like 3.7 to 4k in a bunch of players. They could have gone for AKs and Galils at the expense of maybe a few grenades. Instead, saying, okay, there's no rush. Let's give them the 13th round potentially and then bounce back. It does allow them to get 2 Kevlars, actually, so they are still a little bit powerful in this round as well.
So for now here, on FlipSid's end of things, grouping up just outside of the B bomb site. Still probably going to be waiting plenty of time before they actually move in for the execute. However, Rain and AZ going to be your main players to try and watch out for the defense here on this site. Fox actually being pretty adventurous with the way he's moved out there as well. Moving way out into the open there, catching the fact that there's essentially 0 presence in the mid-courtyard there, so they're going to be able to read that this is going to be a play towards the B-bomb site. And already executing 2 players. Rain grabbing 2 himself. Markelov does respond, but Jacob finds a trade against that one. Char's found 1 pickup, got a little bit of room to maneuver with, but then Kia rolls right in and finds the last 2 frags. Much cleaner that time for FaZe Clan, but still 2 frags coming in. It's 2 more rebuys, and it's going to leave them with essentially no money left over here if we actually see the first gun round going the way of FlipSid.
Yeah, this is probably one of 2 more rifle rounds that FlipSid will be able to get for themselves if they don't win any more from this point. So they are running out of time, they're running out of funds. They have simply got to get themselves on the scoreboard. It's not all doom and gloom, they're already 1-0 up, so they wouldn't be dropping down to potential relegation out of the qualifiers, but of course they desperately want to get this win. It's going to be all up in the hands of World that it hasn't done a great deal so far on this match, I think it's safe to say. He'll be looking to turn that round here, round 19. Bomb going to get picked up, and as expected from the T's, be biding their time.
It's been the default sort of thing here so far from FlipSid. In the rounds we've seen very, very slow styles of play. With a big explosion waiting at the end there of these guys trying to get early site control. But FaZe Clan have still kept a pretty large focus on defending the A site themselves. Still kind of 3 players in the general neighborhood. Starting to move some more over now with Kiyoshima regrouping here. And it does correlate with the timing that we can start to see FlipSid creeping out a bit more as well to investigate things. Molly's going to fade. And now we might see Shara start to peek his head out in a moment too. More smokes and flashbangs getting ready to be tossed out onto the site. Nothing being found just as of yet. Now though, the test begins. As the timer inches lower and lower, FlipSid will need to move in soon to start to take control.
The problem with FlipSid, very similar to their CT half, is they are predictable as a team. They don't play hyper-aggressive that often, so from FaZe's perspective, they can afford to hold on to some more of these grenades and throw them out with 30, 20 seconds to go, because they know FlipSid are very unlikely to push before then, as we're seeing now. 30 seconds on the timer, nobody's fallen down, there's still a lot of grenades on both teams. AZ with the first kill gets a second as well, and now it's Rain's time to shine, but he is only going to get 1 kill before his life is cut short. That being said, Kiyoshima is next on the chopping block, potentially for FlipSid, but now it's all on Will. Let it 15 seconds, and Kiyoshima with a second. This is the issue with FlipSid, man. if you're in Faze's shoes, you know you don't have to really worry until like 30 seconds to go. They're not going to push out aggressively, and I feel that's maybe the way that FlipSid could have got something done there.
Faze as well are not really having a lot of problems just holding off in these 1v1s and winning them. A couple slip-ups there like we saw in the second round, but they've been able to recover very well since then, and now seem to be pretty stalwart on their holds on the site themselves. FlipSid a bit of a late decision you can see there too, after the round actually begins to force everybody up in this time, so they're just going to go right for it. Look at how little utility this leaves them. A single smoke sitting on World Edit, Blade with a flashbang, but that is it. It's 2 Galils and 3 AKs beyond that, so they've got the rifle power, but with the exception of that smoke and flash, this is just going to be a purely raw take dependent on entry power.
And as I mentioned before, they're only going to have a limited amount of rifle rounds left that they can scrape together, and this is bottom of the barrel. This is a bargain bucket buy-up. The FlipSid, as you mentioned, distinct lack of utility. Going to have to be entry fragging, and I wouldn't say that's one of their strong suits, the FlipSid. They're not really known for having fantastic entry fraggers. Well, that it's gone down. Oh, the look where the bomb's dropped as well. That couldn't be worse for FlipSid. It means they have to reverse through the smoke into the embracing arms of Faze. And if he plays this correctly, he should be getting a bunch of kills. He's actually going to be looking around, making sure that flashbang doesn't affect him. Comes out with 2 spray downs. Very well played indeed from AZ. 2-on-1 now. Can Markelov get it done? Straight through the smoke. Didn't realize he was tagging up AZ so hard. And now Faze have 10 match points. FlipSid going to be back to another force of Galils.
And it's just going to be basically the exact same thing that we saw in the last round, maybe with an extra grenade or 2 coming in with the losing bonus stacking up, but there actually should be full at this point. So as you can see, it is essentially just a repeat. 3 AKs, 2 Galils, same thing as before. We have 1 extra flashbang coming into the mix, and 1 more smoke as Blade buys it up towards the end there, but that is it for these guys. They've got nothing else to bring to the table.
I thought this game would be a lot closer. In fairness, what a shot that is from Fox. Very nice reaction speed. FlipSid looked uninspired in this game. They didn't really do anything particularly out of their playbook. Maybe expected a bit more aggression, when their cobblestone has been pretty lackluster.
Yeah, it all just seemed like very static sort of play from FlipSid. No reactions to what FaZe had been throwing at them. Just kind of, they kept to their usual strats and hoped it would work. And it did a few times here. I mean, ever since the middle portions of the first half, we just haven't really seen that much from them. Rain's gonna be boosting up there, tries to find the mark onto Markelov, but can't actually take him down just as of yet. Brings him down a little bit lower to 56 HP, but won't actually find the kill. Nonetheless, they find the intel for the guys on FlipSid. They now start their attempted take towards the A-bomb site.
But Fox could still be the determining factor because he's still on long and they haven't flushed him out. Going to be going back in for seconds, misses the shot. He's about to get flanked from behind. Markelov will be the player to put him down, but has he stopped the charge for long enough for the rest of Faze to get here? Yes, he has. And Faze will secure it in style, 16-5, a very convincing victory in the end.
And of course, big players for me in that one. Going to be AZ from the side of Faze, pulling off some great plays on the T side to open things up for them at the beginning and also bring them back after we saw them jousting rounds at the beginning portions of this match. And then in the second half too, playing very, very close to that B-bomb site, but it's absolutely phenomenal. Only saw a few rounds played, of course, there in the second half, but still doing his job very well and leading to a very quick match in the favor of Faze there, elevating them 1 more and now only 1 map away from being in the major.
Whereas FlipSid now go into the 1-1 scoreline bracket. They'll be facing off against some pretty solid teams. Obviously, we don't know the draw just yet, and we still have games to come up this evening. Speaking of which, we're going to throw it back to the analysts. We're going to have a few words to say about that matchup. Take it away, Alex.
Cheers, guys. Yes, indeed. FaZe joined the exclusive 2-0 club alongside G2. They managed to do it in rather convincing fashion as well. I've got Vendetta and Pansy standing by with me to kind of try and understand what went wrong for FlipSid, and that is going to be my question to you guys. We kind of presented that as quite a close game, assuming FlipSid do find success on their T side, and nothing seemed to come through.
Yeah, it was incredibly underwhelming for me overall for FlipSid. They never seemed to show up individually, and even as a team, it just seemed very static, very default, very just lackluster to what we expect. You know, Cobble's classically a good map for them, and we saw none of the features that does equate to that kind of answer that we sometimes find. So even the second half, nothing particularly happened for them. In the first, as said, AZ at the helm, everyone else just kind of diving in as well. This was just a little bit of a bland game from them.
Yeah, really the hole they dug for themselves on that CT half was just too much. It was too deep at that point to actually make it out. And I think one of the biggest issues why we didn't get to see FlipSid have or get more rounds really is because they get into a situation where they lose the pistol in the second half, and at that point they kind of have to go with whatever they have, which is not the amount of utility that they want to in normal default setup. So they go for B execute delayed. That doesn't work out, and at that point you just kind of have to force because you're so far behind. You need to get rounds on the board instantly, otherwise FaZe is going to run away with it at some point. So To me, I wouldn't put it on their T side. Pretty much the grunt work was done by Faze on their T side, so the CT side from FlipSid, which is way too weak.
I mean, 10-5 half for Faze made their job pretty easy in the second.
Yeah, that was with FlipSid winning the pistol on their CT side as well. So that's just Faze having a really solid game plan as to what they wanted to do, and it was a very different take from Faze, honestly, as to how they played it T side from what you'd normally expect out of a team like that.
Yeah, and even Faze being prepared to the fact that they know they're going to have late in the game hits. It may not be exactly the same style that they'd predict, but they held their utility back. By the time they actually made that play, Faze were in position. You saw extremely good holds on the site. You know, Keo coming in, everyone really having a good performance. So, yeah, very underwhelming game for me personally.
And I think prepared is the final word I want to kind of end on. Halvor, very quickly, you were suggesting that Faze may not be showing everything in these interviews, and you saw quite a couple of signs that there was some preparation in play.
Well, Keo, in his last interview